Göbekli Tepe was definitely deliberately finished, closed off, buried, covered with earth, covered with rubble. Beneath a dusty hill in southeastern Turkey, the world's oldest temple has guarded its secrets for 12,000 years. But now, quantum AI has cracked its silent code. And what it found is beyond imagination. These weren't just animal carvings. They were warnings, predictions, messages meant for us. Could its stone pillars be the world's first data storage system and its final warning? Why would ancient hunter-gatherers encode astronomical cycles they shouldn't have known? And what could possibly be so dangerous they buried it forever? In the next few minutes, we'll uncover the truth. For decades, Göbekli Tepe's towering T-shaped pillars stood as silent sentinels over southeastern Turkey. Their limestone faces carved with animals, abstract symbols, and strange geometric patterns. Archaeologists marveled at the craftsmanship, but could never quite agree on the meaning. The carvings seemed random, perhaps decorative, perhaps ritualistic, but with no clear reading order. That uncertainty ended when researchers fed ultra-precise 3D scans of the site into a new quantum neural processor, a machine designed to identify patterns that human eyes and traditional computing would miss. The result stunned everyone involved. Quantum AI revealed that these carvings weren't random at all. They formed a deliberate sequence stretching across multiple pillars, like lines in a book written not in letters, but in stone. Each image, from the smallest fox to the largest vulture, was a carefully chosen part of a structured story. It was the earliest known script without words. A language of shapes and symbols meant to be read not on paper but in the very layout of the temple. The AI quickly identified a recurring four-symbol cycle that appeared in multiple enclosures: the scorpion, the vulture, the sun disk, and the headless man. Each of these wasn't simply a picture. It was a chapter in a ritual narrative. The scorpion marked danger, death, or a cosmic threat. The vulture, wings outstretched, held a sphere, the soul perhaps, or a celestial body. The sun disk above suggested divine or cosmic power. Finally, the headless man stood as a grim reminder of mortality, sacrifice, and transformation. Together they formed a sequence of death, celestial ascent, cosmic power, and rebirth. A story carved some 7,000 years before the first Egyptian hieroglyphs. This was no random arrangement. The AI detected exact spatial relationships between the symbols, consistent distances, orientations, and groupings. Just like words in a sentence or verses in a poem, certain carvings always appeared in specific positions relative to one another, which suggested that the builders followed a strict set of grammar rules when laying out their imagery. Each pillar wasn't just a stone, it was a verse in a larger story, and the whole temple was the complete text. Even more striking, the AI showed that this was never meant to be experienced standing still. Göbekli Tepe was designed as a walk-through narrative. Visitors would move through the stone circles, encountering each sequence in a deliberate order, as though walking through chapters of a book. Each step revealed the next stage in the cycle. Each turn brought a new twist in the myth. The story wasn't just told, it was lived, with the visitor becoming a participant in a grand ritual drama encoded into architecture. To the people who built it, this wasn't passive art. It was an immersive memory machine, preserving their most important cosmic and spiritual truths in a way that could outlast generations. The layout and imagery worked together to embed meaning in the mind through movement, repetition, and symbolism. Quantum AI's decoding gave us our first real glimpse into that story. But it also hinted that the carvings served a deeper, more personal function. They weren't just designed to tell a story, but these symbols weren't just telling a story. They were designed to reach inside the human brain itself. When the quantum AI team finished mapping symbolic sequences, they decided to take the analysis one step further. If these carvings were part of a deliberate script, could they also be designed to produce a specific effect on the human mind? To find out, they compared the shapes and arrangements of Tepe's carvings to existing neuroscience data, specifically databases used by marketing and psychology researchers to measure human emotional responses to visual patterns. The results were as unsettling as they were unexpected. The AI found that certain carvings, especially the vulture and the sun disk, triggered emotional response patterns nearly identical to those produced by modern religious icons and even some of the most powerful brand logos in the world. These weren't vague similarities. They matched specific neural response signatures linked to awe, reverence, and long-term memory formation. In other words, the builders had created symbols that could stick in the brain, imprinting themselves in ways we only learn to replicate thousands of years later. How could a society of hunter-gatherers living 12,000 years ago possibly have understood such concepts? The AI's working theory wasn't that they had modern neuroscience, but that they had learned through centuries of ritual and observation what shapes, angles, and arrangements would spark deep emotional reactions. These patterns may have been refined across generations until they became a kind of visual technology, a way to connect directly to the brain's most ancient circuitry. But the AI also noticed something even more profound in the architecture itself. By simulating how sunlight moved through the stone circles during key moments of the year, especially the solstices, it discovered that the pillars created fleeting patterns of light and shadow that, when viewed from certain angles, formed composite shapes not visible at any other time. When these patterns were recreated in a lab, test subjects showed changes in alpha brainwave activity, the same frequency range linked to relaxed, trance-like states. This suggests that TEEP may have been designed as an early form of psychotechnology, a purpose-built space for inducing altered states of consciousness during group rituals. The carvings weren't just static art. The builders aligned the site so that during specific moments of the solar year, the interplay of light, stone, and symbol would synchronize with the human mind's natural rhythms. In a world without writing, this could have been one of the most powerful tools for uniting a community in shared vision and purpose. Think of it. Hundreds of people gathered inside the stone circles as the sun reached its critical alignment. Light pours across the carvings, completing symbols that have been waiting all year to be revealed. The vulture stretches its wings. The sun disk glows with otherworldly light. And in that charged moment, every eye sees the same thing. The same pattern burns into every mind, locking it into memory, not for days, but for a lifetime. This was more than communication. It was engineered experience, a technology of the mind and senses designed to bind entire communities into the same story, the same myth, the same cosmic truth. It ensured the message wouldn't just be understood. It would be felt. Once the quantum AI had unraveled Göbekli Tepe's symbolic language and its neurological effects, researchers wondered just how unique it really was. If this was the first known visual script, could it have influenced other ancient cultures? Or was it a one-of-a-kind creation of an isolated community? To answer that, the AI team began cross-referencing Göbekli Tepe's carvings against massive databases of ancient art and iconography from around the world. The process was different from a simple image search. Instead of looking for identical shapes, the quantum AI compared the structural relationships between symbols, how figures were arranged, what positions they occupied, how they interacted in a narrative. This kind of analysis went beyond surface similarities and dug into the grammar of imagery itself.